and I threw some tiny pebbles up out the window where she slept. And oh joy, the curtains parted, and I looked up hopefully to see her mother and her father both staring down at me. So fast as light I left that place, and down the road I fled, and I hid inside some bushes, quaking, shaking out my head, quaking, shaking out my head, quaking, shaking out my head. I hid inside those bushes, quaking, shaking out my head. Now it could have been hours or minutes, you know, I still couldn't tell the time, but I thought I heard sweet Sarah's voice call my name as she passed by. She called my name as she passed by. She called my name as she passed by. I thought I heard sweet Sarah's voice call my name as she passed by. So, with the greatest courage, I crawled from my hiding place, and from the pavement in the dawn, I looked up into her face. I looked up into her face. I looked up into her face. From the pavement in the dawn, I looked up into her face, and she smiled and said, hello, you know, I thought it might have been you. She was standing with her old man, and he said, how do you do? And I was babbling incoherently, but they seemed to understand. She brushed the dirt from off my clothes, and she took me by the hand, and we went back to her house, and her mum was making tea. And she said, I'm pleased to meet you, and she steered me to a seat. Now I humbly made my apologies, how I humbly apologised for my unplanned arrival, late at night and wild of eyes. Late at night and wild of eyes. Late at night and wild of eyes. My unplanned arrival, late at night and wild of eyes. And she said, that's quite alright, you know, you seem a nice young man, but next time try and warn us in advance, please, if you can. And I said, Mrs. George, you are obviously unfamiliar with the modern psychedelic experience. Because not only do I have no concept of time as you perceive it, but your cat is purple and there are flowers coming out the top of your kettle. And of course I didn't say those things to her. I said, I'll have one sugar please, thank you very much. So I was trying to make a good impression. Sorry, is this boring you to tears? Honestly, it goes on forever, doesn't it? It's just like no music, it's just like blah, 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 blah. Me, this is what I did. Oh, listen to me, I'm funny. And I knew that I was lucky, so I thanked my lucky stars. I knew that I was lucky, so I thanked my lucky stars. Yes, I knew that I was lucky, so I thanked my lucky stars, because that night it ended up in love and not a police car. I don't know about you, but I need to be drunk for this. I only do one gig a year. I only do one gig a year because it's all my liver can stand. I paint clouds now, it's so much easier than being a musician. I was a musician for 30 years, and I was in some bands that were famous 30 years ago, and people say, were you in Spacemen 3? And I'm like, it was 30 years ago. Do you know what I mean? I've had like 20 pets die since then. 2 fathers, I've seen 2 fathers in the ground, 20 pets.
It's like them people from Facebook, do you know, they get in touch and they're like, haven't seen you since school, and I'm like, there's a fucking reason. There's a fucking reason you haven't seen me since school. Because you hated me then, and now you heard one of your friends talk about one of the bands I was in at a dinner party, and you thought you could get some kudos points by talking to me, so fuck off. I don't say that, I say, yeah, like, nice to see you again. Diplomacy's important, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? So, talking of diplomacy, I have another long-winded and largely non-musical song for you. I use the word song, I can't believe that people actually booked me to do this, to be honest. Okay, so this is shortly after I was in those bands, and this is a largely autobiographical story, except for one of the verses, which is a complete lie. So whoever can figure out which one of the verses is a lie can have some of my whiskey. Okay. It's not hard, I tell you. Well, honestly, I wish you was drunker than me. It's funny, I'm funnier when you're drunk, I think. So, shortly after leaving Spacemen 3 and Spiritualized, this is what happened. I found a three-legged flea-bit, knock-kneed nag and placed a bet on just how very glamorous my pop star life might get. Now I'm a mile inside this tunnel, cold enough to freeze your meat. And I'm floating on a greasy barge, spraying shot blast and concrete. Now for all the dust and diesel fumes, you know, you couldn't see a fucking thing, and for that much I was grateful when somebody began to sing. Somewhere in the distance, through the noise of the machines, an old Scouse Beatles fan was singing Yellow Submarine. We all live in a yellow submarine, a yellow submarine, a yellow submarine. And you know that I wasn't worried, because I'm really not the type. I'm way past expecting everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. I'm way past expecting everything's gonna be alright. And now I'm a barman at an outpost on the path of least resistance. Endurance and persistence made sure I was with her for the last dance. She's glad mouth and greasy, just 2 steps back from sleazy. Tight as a drum, where she needs to be. She blows me kisses that just freeze me. But you know that I ain't worried, because I'm really not the type. I'm way past expecting everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. I'm way past expecting everything's gonna be alright. So I married a supermodel. We live right up in the hills. My whole life's dedicated to pleasure and to thrills. I married a supermodel and she feeds me pills and porn, and we employ local peasants to wipe our asses and mow the lawn. And I know there's something missing, and I'm wondering whatever could it be? What is missing from my life of perfect selfishness and greed, ladies and gentlemen? I'd like to know. If you've got any suggestions, you get a free whiskey. Free whiskey, anybody? You got enough free whiskey, have you? You don't look like you've got a lot of free whiskey. In fact, you look like an audience completely without free whiskey. No offence. And of course, the thing that was my missing from my perfect life of bliss up in the hills, it was nice, there was a swimming pool, tigers. What else was there? Palm trees, fish, some fish, koi carp. What was missing from my life? Perfect selfishness and greed. New fridge. Could do with the fridge. I haven't even got a fence. When I came to Iceland, I had one pair of trousers. And now I have 2 pairs of trousers. So since I've been in Iceland, my own personal wealth has increased by 100%. Thank you, Iceland. We all live in a yellow submarine. It was obvious. I told you in the first verse. Can you tell which is the fake verse? You didn't say, so you're not getting free whiskey. Enough of my bullshit. You know that I wasn't worried, so I'm really not the type. I'm way past expecting everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. I'm way past expecting everything's gonna be alright. That's enough songs for a minute. So now I'm going to need a member of the audience to come and recreate the experience of being a member of Spacemen 3 while I recreate the classic Spacemen 3 album, Dream Weapon. Thankfully, we'll only be doing 5 minutes and not the full 40. Yeah, people like that album now, but at the time, the management said, we don't want you to do another set, thank you. And we were like, are we still getting paid? And we're like, yeah, and it's like, great. It's nothing better than getting paid for not playing. Although, ironically, I did spend 30 years playing and not getting paid, but, you know, living home. The law of averages states that one day things will change. So I need somebody to cabal them. Can you come play one note for me, please? This is his guitar. I never play a nice guitar like this. Is nice. Just one note D or something. And, ladies and gentlemen, it's your lucky day in so many ways that don't involve whiskey. Sorry about this, but it is early. There's your... It's okay, I haven't got it. I went into isolation 2 weeks. That's not the whole chord, just one note. One. Don't get fancy. One. And I need kind of you lot to go one. Whiskey. If you're not womming, you don't get whiskey. So, yeah, I spent 30 years playing one note, really. This note, it's a good note. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So this is from my fabulous book. Thank you for this book. And I'll read to you what I thought I was playing when I wasn't actually playing. So, is this making any sense at all? Hopefully not, because that's the whole point, really. Is to end, you're not going, what am I here? What happened to the fucking ones? You're not getting paid if you go one. Perfect. So that's the whole single point, really. To end sense through repetition of the familiar, to strip sense from the senses you have, and thereby open the world through limitation. Stop making sense. It's the musical equivalent of the Zen koan, which so perplexes the mind in its seeming contradiction that the mind itself, repulsed by its own lack of understanding, quantum leaps beyond the self-imposed boundaries and habitual perceptions of reality it has taken for granted as being correct. Or maybe you do. Or maybe it and you do. Is it you? Are you the you think you were, or are the you are now? Or is it like you were? Is this confusing? And if so, why? And who are you confusing? And who are you confusing it with? You don't worry. You'll get tired of caring about these things eventually and just get back to one. It's going to be easier in the long run, and this is going to be a very long run indeed, as you don't want to be expanding any energy on useless questions about whether or not you even exist. The show must go on and on and on and on. Settle down now. You can breathe deeply. Don't grip your plectrum too tightly and hold a tempo that's sliding across the milliseconds of the moment. That's gone, that's gone, that's gone, that's gone. Do you wish you weren't so stoned? Do you think you should have got a proper job after all? Do you look stupid? Did you lock the door? Is your cat happy? Or is everything going wrong? Is that you going tick, 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 tick? Is it time to top yet? Settle down, monkey mind, you can do this. It doesn't matter how stoned you are, settle down. You can do this for as long as you think you can, can't you? Now thankfully, at this point, within our peculiar conundrum of unity and individual performance, our friend the virtuoso will arrive in the nick of time to add a little light and shade to the endless plains of wong, 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 wong. He will bring a reassuring voice, something to hold on to in all of this space, a familiar refrain, and Jason Spacemen is asking you a question, but what is it? There it is again. It certainly sounds like something you ought to understand, but then it changes ever so slightly, urging comprehension of the previous questions you somehow missed but thought you understood. It's like a nursery rhyme you heard once in a more innocent time, and it's so obvious what it is, and then it changes, but only just enough so that you can't remember what was different about it the first time. I wonder what the dogs think, floating blissfully upon the Ganges as they are. So the guitars fade back into themselves, and the room and everything else seems to be ending too. Perhaps the song is finishing. Do you know how long you've been playing? The repeater and tremolo slide up along the octaves, and somehow your mind, which has grown so used to their company and repetition, goes with them and actually listens. It, and then it plays. A little snatch of melody, and then it goes back to the wong, 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 wong. So did that happen? Did you hear that? When the actual voice of God appears. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please take your seats for this evening's showing of Wings of Desire? I said, what? We're already sitting down. What does God even mean by that? So wong, 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 wong. And then the refrain and the questions, and the questions and the questions, and wong, 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 wong. So spectral shapes, motifs and melodic archetypes drift in and disappear, while the occasional mythical beast emerges from the ocean of drone, rising and submerging with barely a ripple. Imaginary colours pulse lysergically, and the drift of time is forgotten within the boundaries of limitless sound. And how could so little mean so much? Thank you, Faber. And the funny thing was, during all that, I actually hadn't plugged myself in. So when I went to switch my amp off at the end of 40 minutes of playing one note, I wasn't even plugged in. I still get royalties for that record. I'm not playing a fucking note. So what's next? What's next on our exciting adventure into sound? And what do you fancy? Tell me what you fancy. We live in a democracy, don't we? Go on, you can choose. What do you want, a poem, a story, or an actual song?
Story.
You want a story?
Story.
It's all a story. A story, Jesus. You've thrown me now. I thought you were going to ask for a song. Everybody always asks for a song now. Like, shut up, Will, and play a fucking song. You've come all the way to a lighthouse in Akranes, and it's like you won't even sing a proper song. Because I can't sing really. I think we should have a sing-along. Which is a story as well. It's a story in a song. So this is a good corny old song, and it's got a call and response chorus, which you're going to love. Because I know you're fun, you're in the right place. And here we are. So this is a very old song, and this is a nice song because you can say to people, I know a song about a prostitute smoking opium, and she's got a pimp that's a cocaine addict, and you know the chorus, and everybody's like, I don't know any songs like that. I don't know any songs like that. I told my mum, I told her what Jailhouse Rock was about, she's a big Elvis fan. like, do you know what Jailhouse Rock's actually about? She was like, what? And I was like, you're the cutest jailbird I ever did see. I was like, can you join the dots in that verse? What Elvis might be up to with his cellmate. And Lieber and Stoller wrote that song as a revenge on Elvis because he covered Hound Dog, which was a big Matt Thornton song. So they wrote Jailhouse Rock for him because they knew he wouldn't understand what it was about. It's quite funny. I think it's funny. Poor old Elvis, God rest his soul. He's not dead, is he? Do you think he's still Akranes? Is he in Akranes? Does he work at... I saw there's a fish and chip van down the way. And I was like, if I was Elvis, that's exactly where I would work. You're not supposed to tell. Don't switch the stream off. So yeah, so this is a song about... I can't just sing a song, I'm just like that, yeah. That's why I was a bass player for years, because they're like, get the mic away from him. Make him stand at the back and play the bass, and maybe he'll shut the fuck up. So this is a really corny kind of song, but it's from the 20s, this one, I believe. So folks, here's a story about Minnie the Moocher. She was a red hot hoochie coocher. Do you know what a hoochie coocher is? So hooch and cooch is like booze and weed. So that's what Minnie was. She liked to drink and she liked to smoke reefer. We're never going to get through this song. It's going to take an hour, honestly. I hope you've got a lot of time on your hands. When's the next film on? Folks, here's a story about Minnie the Moocher. She was a red hot hoochie coocher. And Minnie was the roughest, toughest frail bot. Minnie had a heart as big as a whale. Heidi, 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 Heidi. Heidi, Heidi, Heidi. Hody, hody, ho. Hody, hody, ho. A poor min, poor min, poor min. Now Minnie had a man, and his name was Smokey. She loved him, no, he was cokey. He took her down to Chinatown, and he showed her how to kick the gong around. That's smoking opium, kicking the gong around. It's jazz lingo. I'm just letting you on the jazz lingo. Don't know. Heidi, 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 Heidi. Heidi, 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 Heidi. Oh. Minnie, being as she's down in some Chinese opium den somewhere, and she's new to the experience, is beginning to dream, because dreams are common at the beginning of the opiate experience and then gradually fade into something less than dreams, but you always end up chasing the first dream you had. And the memory of that first dream chases you down into the nightmares of a brutal opiate addiction. But Minnie's still dreaming. So Minnie had a dream about a king of Sweden who was a famous playboy at the time in the 20s.
And he gave her all the things that she was needing. He gave her $1 million worth of nickels and dimes, and she sat around and counted them all. 1,000,000 times. Hidey, 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 a poor man, poor man, poor man. Do you know what? You've got to call and response chorus, which is a lot more than most people do, because a lot of people, you do it and you go hidey, hidey, hi, and they go hody, hody, hi, and you're like, that's the next bit. It's the next, don't disappoint me. There's nothing worse than disappointing audio. I mean, I'm a disappointing performer, God knows. Cheers. Anybody want some whiskey? I hate drinking alone. Look at that lake. I looked at that for 2 weeks, not that. I would look at that for 5 minutes. That's your job. Right, what do we want? Story, poem, or...
Poem.
You want a poem? Okay. Okay. Sorry. That's why I said, do you know why I like Iceland? One of the reasons I like this country is because it's one of the few places in the world you can actually turn up and say, I'm a poet, and people don't just laugh in your face. You know what I mean? In Iceland and in Ireland, I find, you go, I'm a poet, and people go, ooh. Ooh. Whereas in Britain, I used to work on a building site, I worked in construction. If I said I'm a poet, I get a punch in the face. If I say I have to get ready to fight, I'm a poet and I'll punch you. So I'm a punching poet. So a poem it is then. So I'd like to introduce myself, as if I haven't already. This is actually a true story. And you can stop me at any point during this poem and say, Will, what are you talking about? And I'll explain it to you, because clarity is important, communication is key, and we live in an increasingly fractured and atomised world in which distant points of light communicate with other distant points of lonely light in the distance. So I am Old Willie Forkdick, and I'll explain that one right. My name in Russian actually means Forkdick. I showed it. I was in Dead Skeletons and we were going to Russia, right? So I was like, we needed like a little passport stampy thing, whatever they're called, I don't know. I showed it to my Russian friend and went, look, my name in Russian, and she went, it means Forkdick. So I was like, I am Old Willie Forkdick. I fart and children wake 2 floors above and think it thunder. I can stagger and crawl faster than any man alive. I wade into lakes drunker than Santa and borrow the floating down of swans to impress the hearts of twinless souls. And when my leg buckles beneath the weight of the feather, I do not let my agony prevail, but rather walk out, tar-heeled, and press the leave-ins as a trail for my lover to follow. And because industry makes me sick until I drink moonshine that tastes like city rivers, and they become a nameless chemical cocktail crusted at the rim of my worldly mouth, then maybe I was not made for these times. So think of me as a creature from a zoo, slipped its bars and made a home somehow beyond them, or as a museum piece from a bygone age that did not bleep and flash going, look who you are. Look how good you are next to me, or as beyond the sky, look who you are. Or as a devil from the earth, look how good you are. Or as a walking scrap of storm come to raise the dust, so you can think of me as a lover or a son, some demented protector of what is already lost.
And so I will steal beer payola from the smug fists of the Dom controllers. I will poke fun with my fierce fingers into the chicken ribs of the parsimonious ass kissers, and I will laugh like the breaking earth at the cowed and fearful safety that you tremble in and mistake for home. And I will call the Nazi scared children, and I will turn my tongue blue with ecstasy, and I will wave my bare dick at the sky, and I will nap where I fucking please. And you might hate and fear me for it, but believe me, I never meant you harm. And if you were of clear mind, recall that I spilt no blood that was not my own, and nothing was broken beyond myself. And if I did not love you enough, then I apologise. You asked for the fucking poetry. Iceland, the only country that's ever said more poetry, will. Normally they're like, will you stop with the fucking poetry? Sing us a stupid song. So what do we want next? I've got no idea. I'm not used to doing this anymore. I might have to retune. That's always a disaster. How are we doing for time? Really? People are bored.
It's 2:30.
What does that mean? Like in real time?
15 minutes. Oh, yeah.
15 minutes?
15 minutes, yeah.
How strict are we? Are you going to pull me off with a hook?
No.
It's like, no more poetry. Stop the fucking poetry. Seriously, you can stop me if you're bored. You know, I'm a listening performer. So we can either, do you know, I do love this song because it's the most difficult Irish folk song. I spent a lot of time in Ireland recently. I've been on the road for 3 years now. I lived in trendy Berlin. I got evicted by my landlord who failed to see my genius, I feel. I mean, that's what I think. I was like, he failed to appreciate my genius, and he was like, dickhead, I can charge 14 times as much for that flat if you get the fuck out with your stupid pictures. And I was like, so we had a difference of opinion. Like, I think he's a fucking arsehole, capitalist, greedy fuckpig who should be cast into a lake of fire, and he doesn't. Which is fine. It's all right to disagree, isn't it? I'm all right with capitalism to a point. So yeah, I've been on the road for 3 years, hence my one pair of trousers. I'm 52, by the way. I should have things, shouldn't I? I should have a fridge. I might make a list of things I should have at the age of 52, like a fridge. What else? More than one pair of trousers. That's almost certain, isn't it? Right. So what I did, I took all my stuff from my apartment in Berlin, and because I knew I was never going to find another apartment there because it's impossible what it was then, I just took all my things and I left them in the street, and I watched people take them away because that's what you do in Berlin. So I was sitting there watching people take away what I considered to be my prized possessions. And I found out I was getting a bit funny about the things they were taking, because I was just like, what's wrong with this book? This is a good book. Why have you taken that one? And I was like, it's in the street, dude. You just like, let go, do you know what I mean? So I've got very little. So yeah, I spent a lot of time in Ireland, in County Donegal, County Donegal. It's very nice over there, it's kind of lawless. And I try and sing this song sometimes, but it's really difficult. So in the merry month of June from me home I started. I left the girls of Tomb nearly broken hearted. Saluted father dear and kissed me darling mother. Drank a pint of beer, my grief and tears to smother then. Off to reap the corn, leave where I was born. Cut a stout black thorn to banish ghosts and goblins. A brand new pair of brogues, rattling all the bogs, frightening all the dogs. On the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hunt there and turn her down the rocky road, all the way to Dublin. Whack fa-la-li-ra. Well, in Mullingar that night I rested limbs so weary. Started by daylight, my spirits blithe and airy.
I took a drop of the pure, keep me heart from sinking. That's the paddy's cure whenever he's on for drinking too. See the lassie smile, laughing all the while at me curious style. Well, it set your heart a-bubbling. Asked me was I hired, our wages I required. I was nearly tired of the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up there and turn her down the rocky road all the way to Dublin. Whack for all the ride. Well, in Dublin next arrived, I thought it such a pity to be so soon deprived of view of that fine city so. Then I took a stroll out among the quality bundle it was stolen in a neat locality. Something crossed me mind when I looked behind. No bundle could I find upon my stick a-wobbling. Enquiring for the rogue, told me Conrad brogue wasn't much in vogue on the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hunt the hare and turn her down the rocky road all the way to Dublin. Whack follow the road. Well, I finally got away, my spirits never failing. Landed at the quay just as the ship was sailing. Captain at me roared and said that how room had he. When I jumped aboard a cabin found for Paddy. Down among the pigs, played some hearty rigs, danced a funny jig, the water round me bubbling. And off a Holyhead, wished myself were dead, ready yet instead. On the rocky road to Dublin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up there and turn her down the rocky road all the way to Dublin. Whack follow the road. Well, the boys of Liverpool, when we safely landed, called myself a fool. I could no longer stand it. A blood began to boil, temper I was losing, good old Erin's soil. They began abusing her armour, so said I, shillelagh. I let fly, those Galway boys were nigh, and they saw I was a hobbling. So with a loud array, joined in the affray, quickly cleared the way for the rocky road to Dublin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if there's anybody that likes Irish traditional songs watching this on a stream in Donegal, I'm really sorry for the way I do that. Right, well, God, we're getting near to the end. This is brilliant, isn't it? What do we want? Poetry, a story, or a song? It's the age-old question, isn't it? You don't look bored. I'm quite surprised. I'm always surprised that people don't look bored when I'm performing. You know, there's part of me kind of wants you to look bored, because then I've got something to like, struggle for. I used to always focus on the most miserable person in the audience. I was like, that fucker, if I can make that one smile, everything will be great. And this started when I was 7. Well, my first time on stage was playing an owl. I was pretending to be an owl in a school play. And during the whole performance, I was the star of the show, obviously. I was an owl. Do you mind? Some of us are fucking working. Seriously. I didn't get this in Spacemen 3, I'll tell you. So I was pretending to be an owl in the school play, right, and I was 7, and I was looking out and I was like, I think I'm quite funny. But there's just one miserable person in the audience that was like, be funnier and make that person laugh, right? I was 7. And it really hasn't left me. And it's an absolute waste of time. Do you know what I mean? Because you can't make everybody happy, can you? Can't even make yourself happy. Actually, that's a lie. That was a cheap joke, wasn't it? So I'm dropping things now. Things are going astray. We're nearly finished, thank God.
What's the video like? Honestly, I made it with cheap. Jesus, it's a bit pixelated, isn't it? There are only cinematographers in it. This is like a video festival, isn't it? It's probably a disaster if you like film. These are like eyes, that's a waterfall, just in case you're wondering. Yeah, could try harder on the video, I think. But it's, you need something flickering to look at, don't you? I found. So, what happened? We've got like 10 minutes. Okay, I could try and detune, but it might take a little while.
I'd rather drink muddy water, baby. I'd rather sleep in a hollow log. I'd rather drink muddy water, baby. I'd rather sleep in a hollow log. And get caught down with your dirty deals, treated like a dirty dog. Like a dirty dog. See, I see you making progress, darling. A sequel, a plain long gone. See you making progress, yes, I see you go that plain long gone. And you kiss me just to blink your guard. Now 1,000 miles so long, baby, so long. Okay, we're going to go back to the British Midlands. I'll tell you what, it's lovely to be in Iceland, by the way. Thanks for having me. It's so nice to get out of England, especially with our government of clowns. Beware the government of clowns. If I ever start running for office, you can shoot me, please. Would somebody just come along, just throw me in the sea or something? Because clowns are where it's at, aren't they? And all the clowns are serious, and all the people that should be serious are trying to be funny. Why is that? Boris, it's embarrassing. It's deeply embarrassing to travel now as a once proud European and be like, sorry about that. I was living in Berlin. I've been in Berlin like 8 years when the Brexit thing came in, and I was like, now I've got to go to my local, which was largely full of old East Germans from the area, and I'll be like, what am I going to say to them? I just walked in, I was like, sorry, my countrymen are fucking idiots. And once you accept that, where do you go from there? Of course, they're not idiots, they were just very carefully propagandised too, because we have quantum leaped in terms of propaganda recently, haven't we? Because the greatest communication tool in human history, of course, was eventually going to fall prey to the fucking propagandists. The Finns, I believe the Finns have got a very good strategy for dealing with the destabilisation of society through false information. This is boring, isn't it? Fuck it.
So yeah, I'm from Britain anyway, and it's a shithole, and it's from the Midlands. It's rats. We've got rats, shopping trolleys. We don't really have any mountains. What do we have? And I was living there, and I was like, if this shit goes down, and society breaks down any further than it is, how far have I got to walk? That's it. They're going to hoover out in a minute. Right, will you fuck off now? How far have I got to walk to get a clean drink of water? And I figured it was like 150 miles. And not only would I be walking that 150, but everybody from Birmingham, Leicester, Coventry, and I was like, do you know? So my friend Balvin here was like, do you really want to be in London fighting however many million people there are for the last toilet roll? Or would you like to come to Iceland? And it all worked out beautifully, so I arrived on May Day, so here's to your beautiful country and all you, and long may you fucking sail. And this will be my last song of the evening. Song. Because I'm getting too drunk to sing. God, like, it's early. This festival goes on till quite late. There's a party later. I'll probably be asleep in the corner, just forgive me. So yeah, this is a song I wrote 20 years ago about debt, surveillance and paranoia. To lift your spirits. Now bailiffs, bands and rent collectors, all one little more. I'm hiding in the hallway while they're knocking on my door. Peeking out, peering through that little letterbox. While I'm hiding, barely breathing, trying not to hear them as they knock. I said, hear them as they knock. I wake up, say good morning to the high-rise night sky, but you got me living where the sun don't shine, smoking in a chokehold in a spy camp town, smoking in a chokehold in a spy camp town. You got me smoking in a chokehold, yeah. I had to take a little gamble, and I somehow lost a lot, and now I count all my blessings on the things that I've still got. See, the rulers of my destiny decreed that I got fucked. So does that make me guilty or just running out of luck? I said we're running out of luck. So I wake up, say good morning to the high-rise night sky. She got me living where the sun don't shine. Smoking in a chokehold in a spy camp town. Smoking in a chokehold in a spy camp town. Push button heroes that will fight a war of lights and making me feel lonely, alone again tonight. And I see something ugly dripping off that grasping power scheme as I scam along of lucky numbers in a desperado dream. So wake up, say good morning to the high-rise night sky. 'Cause you got me living where the sun don't shine. Smoking in a chokehold in a Spycantown. Smoking in the jar in a Spycantown. I said, love forgiven, don't forsake it, in this thing won't ever break. Love forgiven, don't forsake me, smoking in a jar. One more poem and we're fucking done. Jabbing away at the screen like it's a phone. You've got one really quick, and this is the nicest thing I've actually ever written, so. And then we'll be done. This, no, not that one. Where's the nice one? Here you go. So this is my favourite poem that I ever wrote. So this is like as close as I can get to anything reassuring for you. So in a day of dreams, I saw the clouds chase the birds through the maddened sky, until I did not know chase from dance, but that all is a hopeful move from death. And as the birds in turn follow butterflies in their escape, I know that blood and breath are all a song away from the end, until fleet and pursuit are one circle of chance, and the air is alive in itself, and that we are as it is and will be forever in this unquiet sky. I blew my last line. Thanks ever so much for listening. You've been very patient. I've got some merch for sale. It's a merch opportunity. I've got some nice lino prints